So Diamond and Pearl remakes are coming out on November 19th. And while I am very excited to hop in the Sinnoh once more, there is another game that has piqued my interest a bit more. Of course, I'm talking about Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is coming out just about 2 months after Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl on January 28th. Yes, the Pokemon Company has passed the remake torch to another developer for the first time ever, more than likely allowing Game Freak to try their hand at innovating Pokemon a bit more than we're used to. Pokemon Legends Arceus will be the first game ever to take place in the distant past, as well as be the first game in the series to be fully open world. We got a little taste of that with Sword and Shield with the wild area and the new DLC locations, but those can feel pretty disconnected from the rest of the game at times. But this will be the fully open world Pokemon game that everyone has been waiting so long for, or at least it's going to try to be. See, the games look a little bit rough from the very little that we've seen, but I am definitely hopeful we'll have a bit more polish by the time it releases. With all of that said, it's no mere coincidence that people have drawn comparisons between Legends Arceus and Breath of the Wild. I mean, look at the box art. Nothing says we were inspired by Breath of the Wild like the main character overlooking a bunch of mountains. Now, I don't really believe it'll match Breath of the Wild in terms of quality, as even good games that try to compare that magic pale in comparison to Nintendo's masterpiece. I am hopeful that Game Freak has taken some elements that made Breath of the Wild great and given their own spin on it to make it a Pokemon game we can all have fun playing. Which brings us to the point of this video, how Pokemon Legends Arceus could be like Breath of the Wild. There are so many great mechanics that could definitely be replicated here, so I'm going to give you all my take on what that could be. Before we get into this, please be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you'd like to see Game Freak do for their first ever open world Pokemon game. Alright, with that said, let's get into it. So the first section I'd like to talk about here is how the Pokemon act within their respective environments. In Breath of the Wild, you don't have the largest variety of NPCs and monsters to battle, but what you do have are characters that give really good reactions to the environment that surrounds them. NPCs being startled by seeing Darklink, Moblins using Bokoblins as projectiles, and so on. Basically, just reacting appropriately to anything they can react to. While Pokemon do have interesting and unique animations in Pokemon Camp and the other variations that came before, those expressions really do stay there, and they are far less expressive in the overworld. I don't really think that was the worst thing in the world, all things considered, as they're really in the overworld to just be caught. But because battles will now be real time in the spot you found them, we need way less of them just popping in from nowhere, and get more of the feeling that these Pokemon actually live there. I went into this a bit in a video about why the next games should be like new Pokemon Snap. Look, it's unrealistic to expect the national decks and loads of new expressive animations for each individual Pokemon, and think that we can get something like that even every 5 years. But I certainly do believe new generations coming around every 4 years instead with the nice contained decks of 300 to 400 Pokemon that really have a connection with their environment and the things that surround them is more than doable and is certainly very needed. I want to see Gyarados acting really tough and swimming around violently. I want to see Spheal rolling around and bouncing off of each other and then having a little laugh. Just really fun things like that could elevate the series in such a big way. Speaking of the environment, that brings me to my next point. One thing that I liked a lot with Breath of the Wild was the crafting system. It was very simple, but got the job done. Crafting has been such a beloved part of gaming culture, with the likes of Minecraft and even Animal Crossing dipping their toes in the water. Well, now it's Pokemon's turn. See, it was stated that this time period of Sinnoh was long before the idea of having trainers, gyms, and a Pokemon League, so it would naturally lead one to wonder what the actual story and gameplay of this game will be like. But one of the main things I thought about is, no trainers and gyms? How will I make money for potions and Pokeballs? And the answer is just so obvious. You don't need money for them because you're going to be making them. The old Pokeballs in this game are much different from the ones Kurt would make us from Apricorns. These bad boys here, on the other hand, are made out of wood and puffs out steam when a Pokemon is caught. Seems very archaic, but those are the times we're in. I can't imagine will this be given an infinite amount of these or any other potential Pokeball that shows up. So with all these trees out in the open, it makes sense that we'd be cutting them down for materials. No? I think so anyways. It might not even be just us that can do it. I think we'll be able to implore some help from our partners, and we'll finally have a situation of if a Pokemon is able to cut something, it doesn't need to know cut. If it can swim, it doesn't need surf. Climbing mountains on the back of a Rhydon, flying through the skies on a Staraptor. Yeah, all of that sounds pretty great to me. But now that we've established what the world will be like and how the Pokemon could potentially react with them, we now move on to the actual gameplay and point of having a Pokemon game like this. I've seen a lot of people be worried that this game will simply be go and fill the Pokedex for the professor, and that's it. Now, of course, that's a possibility, but I'm more on the optimistic side of things. Even if that is the case, I think it'll have an interesting take on things. Perhaps there are some Pokemon that are only encounterable as bosses, so to speak, and you have to do very specific things to capture them, or you'll have to use your wits when battling them like in the Pokemon anime. I mean, if we had an Onyx boss fight and a potential way to defeat it was by getting it wet and then electrocuting it, I would be shaking my head, but would get some good entertainment from something so ridiculous. But looking beyond that, I think we'll be helping build this region. As stated in the trailer, people are just now moving to Sinnoh, and a small village has been formed, which will likely be our base of operations. But Sinnoh does eventually get padded out in time, right? Well, it's definitely possible we'll have a role in that, meeting different NPCs on our adventures and helping them out by either getting rid of Pokemon that are aggressive towards them or giving them materials they need to settle down with. Think the Terrytown quest in Breath of the Wild. It's a long, continuous quest with many parts, but once it's complete, you're rewarded with seeing a town built from the ground up with a handful of fun and interesting characters, among other things. That is pretty much the foundations of open world games after all. You have your main objective, sure, but messing around and doing as many interesting side quests as possible before finishing the main objective is just bread and butter. But that leaves the question of what the main quest is. Surely it can't just be catching Pokemon, right? I mean, the title is Legends Arceus. It has an important role in the story. Well, yes, ultimately speaking, I do think our main objective will eventually shift focus onto whatever Arceus' storyline is. There are a few different routes this could go, as I discussed in my Truth About Sinnoh and Legends Arceus video, so be sure to give that a peep if you want a more in-depth discussion. But essentially, the options could center around Giratina and Osiris being the main antagonists for this game. So, how does this relate to Breath of the Wild? Well, something that I always appreciated that the game did was give the player freedom of choice. Once Link wakes up and you complete a few basic tasks, you're able to take on Ganon straight away without worrying about any story. Now, of course, you'd get completely destroyed if you're not an unbelievably talented player, but the fact that you had that as an option was always so cool. Well, quite simply, I'd like to see the same happen here. Whatever the final battle is, I think giving the player the chance to take on that trial any time they'd like would be a great thing. Now, that doesn't mean skimp on the story and side quests. As you know, it's the bread and butter. But giving us the options to play the game in whatever order we want, and picking up the rest when we feel like it, is the best gift a game could give to a player, considering everyone plays in their own unique way. We'll have to see if any of this will come to fruition, but if Legends Arceus could even give us half of these features, I think we'll have a Pokemon game that will make more people happy than angry. Or at least I hope. Well, that does it for me today, folks. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video. And as I said, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below what features you'd like to see Game Freak add in to their first open world game. I'm really interested in seeing what you all come up with. So with that said, thank you to everyone for watching the video. Huge thanks to my phenomenal team and the amazing art done each week by Danny the Demon. I couldn't do all this without them. If you all enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Be sure to leave a comment too, as it really helps us out. I also do other content on my Twitch, where I stream Genshin Impact, Mystic Zora, where I do Pokemon Let's Plays and other gaming content, and of course MysticSage, where I do all anime content. Right now, I'm focusing on Inuyasha and Yashahime, so if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. If you'd like to support me even further than that, check out my Patreon. Whether it's a $1 tip to get early thumbnail access, or the $10 tier to get cool perler bead charms and a shout out. There's tons of reasons to join today. These lovely people did, and I thank them all so much for their support. It really means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrion, and I will see you all next time with some more amazing Pokemon content.